Good morning, everyone. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. I am Reverend Christine Dance, and it is my great honor to be the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. Welcome to our online worship service. In this time when we are physically distanced, we believe it is an act of love and radical inclusion to worship online and to be together, although we are very much looking forward to getting together in person soon. Welcome to our worship. Welcome home. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, a very special welcome to you. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, focused on diverse theological perspectives, radical inclusion, and knowing that everything that we do impacts justice and equity, thinking about that in all of our actions. With a special awareness for those who have been historically marginalized, we welcome all, of every race, class, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious background, mental and physical ability, and disability. We welcome your whole self and your family, however you define it, into our worship as we build a community of caring and courage and hope. Our opening words are from the Reverend Lori Gorgas-Halben, who is the minister of the UU Fellowship of Beaufort, South Carolina. I'm sorry, I've got something in my throat. Reverend Lori says, "We light our chalice flame for those who lived their lives in closets of shame, for those who furtively visited the bars where nobody knew your name, for the Stonewall riot and the fierce trans women who fought, for the plague which still takes far too many, too young, too soon. So many gone, so many never lived to see, out gay kids singing on TV, out gay people serving in the military, marriage equality, families formed by intention. We light our chalice flame for all of these, and for all our siblings of the rainbow surviving, living life out in the open with pride." I invite you to grab a chalice or a candle in your home as we recite our covenant together and light our chalice together. By popular demand, and fitting with our pride theme, my very, very gay wife, Karen, is here to light our chalice. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant. Take it away, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Montgomery, and I am honored to serve as your worship associate today. I am also just tickled pink to be back in the sanctuary. Good morning. And if you are a visitor today, welcome. We invite you and anyone new to UUCP to our Get to Know UUCP breakout room in our coffee hour today. It's a great opportunity to get to know some other folks, ask any questions, and learn about Unitarian Universalism and UUCP. There is so much to do in our community, which you can find in our newsletter, Compass. You can sign up for Compass at our website, phoenixuu.org. As always, we invite you to check in to UUCP on social media with the hashtag UUAnywhere. UUCP's previous minister, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, who is now the president of our denomination, is going to be on a panel for the Phoenix chapter of White People Against White Supremacy, to talk about UUCP's leadership in the SB 1070 era. We invite you to join us to learn about our important history as we explore how to live into our individual and shared commitment to anti-racism. You can register through the link found in Compass. And UUCP is having an auction, eventually. We were hoping to have it in December, and of course, COVID numbers are preventing that. We're tentatively rescheduling it for January 15th, and we are prepared to postpone it again if the science supports that. If you have a service, an item, or a gift card to donate, or if you want to host an event as an auction prize, please fill out the form on our website. And winter bags are back. Our celebrations team is hard at work preparing winter bags to hand out at the end of November. And I can share that they were a big hit in my family last year. And this year, we have a request from you. When you come to pick up your winter bag, please bring an ornament that represents your family, however you define that. It could be a picture, a drawing, anything. The only requirements are that it is less than 5 inches by 5 inches, and that it's something that you don't want back. Keep an eye out on Compass for more details. Unfortunately, parents and caregivers as sexuality educators isn't meeting today as was planned because our host, Mix Rose, is under the weather. Please check out Compass for our next meeting date. And finally, are you interested in talking about secular spirituality? There's a small group starting to explore spirituality from a secular perspective. Say that 3 times fast. Check out Compass to learn more or express interest. Our offering today is being collected virtually, just like our service. We are so lucky to have a community that's open and affirming, one that is striving to grow and be a lab for learning how to be ever more welcoming. We ask that you be generous in your giving to support the mission of our beloved community. You can text UUCP $ to 73256. You can donate through our website, and you can send a check. For all that you give to our congregation, we are so grateful.
Good morning, everyone. Many of you know that our pianist, Mary Coda, recently left, and since our choir isn't meeting in the sanctuary, I'm not hiring a new pianist right away, and instead I'm hiring different wonderful local artists each week, or many weeks. For this week's service, Reverend Christine suggested that it would be wonderful if I could hire a musician who identifies as lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, or queer. So I looked through my various lists of working professional musicians in Phoenix, and almost no one came to mind. I was surprised. So I posted on Facebook asking, "Hey, professional musician friends, which of you identify as LGBTQ?" I only got one public response. He wasn't available today. But I also got a private text message from a musician that I know well. I've played lots of gigs with this person. I've been to their house. And their message said, "I'm gay, LOL. Don't advertise it on Facebook for church work reasons." And it was a good reminder to me of one way that gay oppression affects people I know. I wonder how many other professional musicians I know who are in that same situation, who are keeping their sexuality private so that they don't lose church jobs, and who I don't know well enough to send me that message. Anyway, because I didn't hire a local musician, today's service includes a lot of music by nationally known artists who are outspoken about their sexuality. But to start, let's share a quick version of Libby Roderick's "How Could Anyone?" Feel free to sing along. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than you're connected to my soul. Thanks all.
Hey everyone, my name is Rose Pasco, and you can call me Mix Rose. As a queer person, a lot comes to mind when I think of pride. But I keep returning to the idea of pride as a community, the LGBTQIA community. And I've learned a lot in the past few years from the children and youth at UUCP about how to build and be in community together. So, you may have heard about the golden rule to treat others as you want to be treated. Kind of meant be nice, right? Don't do something to others that you wouldn't like yourself. Well, that's not a terrible place to start talking about how to be in community together. But the golden rule isn't really enough on its own. How one person wants to be treated may not be a great way to treat somebody else. I have an example. Some friends enjoy greeting each other with pranks and jump scares, hiding behind the door when they know their friend is coming so they can jump out and say, "Hey, I got you." And that's how they want to be treated by their friends. It's fun. But is that a good way to greet someone new you'd like to become friends with? Maybe not. It's not necessarily going to go well to someone who doesn't know that this is a sign of friendship. So assuming we know what's best for somebody else, that you are going to like what I like, doesn't always work well. A better way to make friends, to share space together, to be more welcoming, is to treat others how they want to be treated. And to find that out, we have to practice asking each other, how would you like to be treated? What makes you comfortable? What makes you uncomfortable? When we know better about how someone else wants to be treated, what makes them feel safe and welcome, we can work toward doing better, finding a way to accommodate each other. And that doesn't mean, once I've told you, I prefer being greeted without a handshake or a hug. I like waving hi or doing an air high five, but I'd rather not touch right away. So when I share that, and someone I'm in community with, they make a mistake, they get excited, they go to give me a pat on the shoulder to say hello, and then realize after they've done it that, oh no, you told me you didn't like that, I'm so sorry. It's okay to make mistakes when we're in community together. The important part is recognizing when we mess up, and apologizing, trying again, continuing to ask what's okay today for you, what's not okay today, because how we want to be treated can change. In children's ministry community spaces, we practice asking for and giving consent to how we want to be treated, to pranks and to games, to personal space or hugs, to taking turns, to wearing masks, to friends adding details to our whiteboard drawing, to new pronouns, to new names. And all of that is what a community is. It's listening to each other and being honest with each other and celebrating together when things go well and apologizing when they don't. and in our queer LGBTQIA community spaces like Pride events. It's essential to celebrate the progress that's been made, to thank community elders and leaders who have made the progress that we have right now possible. And it's equally essential that we listen to the members of our community who are saying, this is not a finish line. There is more to be done. And on that note, please remember that you are very powerful and you are very loved.
After what I mentioned earlier, I was glad to remember Desert City Jazz, Phoenix's premier LGBT and Friends jazz ensemble. Their director gave us permission to use this next video of their new theme song, which they recorded remotely last year. You'll even see UUCP member Anna Zischkow playing second alto. Two, three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was so cool. That was so great. And yay, Anna. For the record, we saw them marching in the Pride Parade yesterday, the jazz group. It is time when we share the joys and sorrows of our community. Being together, it is good to share, to support one another, and to connect. So please feel free to share any joys or sorrows that you have in the chat. Please, anything that you want the community to know about, please put your name at the beginning of it. And if there's anything that you would wish to not be said aloud, but that we can hold in our hearts, please send it to just the panelists and put private on it. While you are entering those, let me mention that this past week, 1 in 5 people in the world were celebrating the Hindu festival of Diwali. The festival is typically celebrated by socializing, exchanging gifts with family and friends, and many light lamps or candles to celebrate a victory of light over darkness. To all of you who celebrated, a blessed Diwali to you, and may your light shine brightly throughout the year. I also want to just again remember COVID and those who are suffering. We are seeing outbreaks even in our congregation. So please send love and energy to all of those in our congregation who are recovering from this in our wider community and, of course, in the whole world. Let us turn to the joys and sorrows of our community. From Amy Miskell, joy, my COVID test was negative this week, and she is feeling better. We're glad to hear that, Amy. Joy from Debbie, I went to my first Pride yesterday and had a blast. It was so good to be with my peeps, and we got to see Debbie and Gabby there. It was wonderful. Waiting to see. There is a little delay in when I speak and when you all are typing things, so go ahead and get those joys and sorrows in so I can see them. Creating space. While they're waiting to come up, you can keep breathing. Keep breathing. From the Lifshitz family, they are grieving the loss of one of Dylan's best high school friends, Ethan Kranz. He was hit by a car and killed last weekend. We were able to attend a beautiful celebration of life for him yesterday. Please keep his mom and twin sister and all of his family in your thoughts. And we will also keep you all, Lifshitz family, in our thoughts as you continue to grieve him. From Nabi and Jira, joy, I got vaccinated on Saturday, first dose. And can we just give a massive joy to all of our children, 5 to 11, as they undertake the sacrament. And I do believe, if you think about what a sacrament is, the idea of intentionally going and doing something in communion with other people, sharing it in community, that this vaccine is nothing less of a sacrament for all of our children getting vaccinated. We are so, so happy. From Kimberly St. Clair, after a month of grappling with having to move out of my little home, I am joyful that with the loving and amazing guidance of Bunny Hodis, we tentatively have a lovely new home. Thank you, Bunny, and all of my friends who have been on this journey. Oh, we're happy for you, Kim. So glad for you. Linda Dean has a joy. I received my booster shot on Wednesday. Hooray for that sacrament as well. Joy from the Stevensons Browns is Chloe is on her way back to us from her 6-week program in Costa Rica. We missed her. Oh, I hope she had a wonderful time. Thank you for those joys and sorrows. And I invite you now to a time of meditation and prayer. I invite you to put down whatever you're doing just for a moment. I invite you to center yourself, push away any of the distractions. Feel yourself connected with your chair, your floor, the energy in your home. Take a few deep breaths. Join me for this prayer. Dear Holy One, that surrounds us with rainbows and glitter, bless the wanderers seeking a home. Bless those who are wishing to worship but are cloaked in shame from a closet that minimizes them. Bless those who have been told that they are anything less than the fabulous creatures that they are by their families, their church, their government, or their jobs. Bless those who have left dinner tables, homes, or churches where love is not served. May they find nourishment in places where they are honored for their entire self. May we see in all of us, no matter our sexual orientation or gender identity, the reflection of love, the reflection of only love that we are in the world. Blessed be. Amen and Ashe. Our centering music is the song Sunday by Joy Olakadun, who grew up just south of Phoenix in Casa Grande. Enjoy.
I kept telling myself, no, don't do this, you can't do this, you have a job, you're going to lose your job. All the guilt and shame, it just had built up to a place where I couldn't, and I didn't want it anymore. This is either going to go down a path where I have this secret relationship and we're hiding, or we could just bring it on to the open right away.
Mama says I'm up to no good again. Couldn't make her proud, though I did my best. I feel like a mess, I feel like I'm stuck in the wrong skin. I feel like I'm sick, but I'm having trouble swallowing my medicine. Sunday, carry me down to the water, wash me clean. I'm still struggling. Sunday, bury me under the weight of who you need me to be. Can't you see I'm struggling? I keep God locked in a picture frame, so I feel a little better by my number days. Yeah, I confess, the questions and the answers seem to sound the same. I'm just like the rest, standing tall, pretending not to be afraid. Sunday, carry me down to the water, wash me clean. I'm still struggling. Sunday, bury me under the weight of who you need me to be. Can't you see I'm struggling? Sunday come around, lift me up again. Never too proud for a helping hand. I've been feeling down. Can you hear me now? Sunday come around, lift me up again. I'm never too proud for a helping hand. I've been feeling down. Can you hear me now? Sunday, carry me down to the water, wash me clean. I'm still struggling. Sunday, bury me under the weight of who you need me to be. Can't you see I'm struggling?
Closeted for 5 years. In that, it was always like these beautiful moments of love and hope and excitement juxtaposed with fear and hiding and trying to leave and come together. In that moment, I was like, it's okay to be gay. I felt God. There was no shame. There was no guilt. It was crazy. I mean, because I spent so many years believing that kissing would mean one thing, and in a second, I realized everybody had been wrong.
I have always been a straight supporter. I co-founded my high school's Gay Straight Alliance. I volunteered and marched in Pride Parade, and I advocated for LGBTQ rights. So when my husband told me he was transgender and non-binary, pride was not the first thing that I felt. It wasn't even the 17th. I was holding our 2-month-old daughter at the time, so my initial response was more like, could we not do this right now? We have like 4 hours of sleep between the two of us, and there's kind of a lot going on. I spent some time in denial. I worried about what other people would think, and I mourned the loss of the marriage, the partner, and the family that I thought I had. For a while, I found myself trying to hold on to the straight privilege that I was so used to. American society values straight people above all others, and I got a certain cachet being a straight woman with a husband. I delayed coming out at work, still referring to my partner as husband and he, him, or not at all. Now, our daughter is 5 years old, and I love our queer family. It's weird to me that I was ever straight married. This feels so much more like us. I've discovered aspects of my wife and myself that I never knew were there. And the best parts of our relationship, our sense of humor, our sense of adventure, our honest communication, respect, and love, those are still there. And if anything, they've gotten stronger. So I don't mind talking about my journey with my wife's gender identity, how I got from denial and shame to pride. But I have a really hard time describing that journey. The process of letting go of one reality and embracing a new one, it's not linear. When I first found out that my wife was non-binary, I looked for the guide and the steps to follow. How to adjust to your partner being trans in 10 easy steps. Spoiler alert, that list doesn't exist. There aren't distinct steps, and the process is different for everyone. And that transition is never over. It's messy. I can feel pride and shame in the same day, even in the same moment. With so many voices and internalized messages telling me every day what's normal and what's valued, I'm going to feel less than and unseen sometimes, and that's okay. I can acknowledge how I'm feeling, I can acknowledge my truth, and I choose love. Blessed be. One of today's most prominent and iconic queer musicians is the rapper, singer, and songwriter Lil Nas X. The next song, Sun Goes Down, is one of his most vulnerable, and in this video, you'll see his adult self singing to his adolescent self, who's struggling to come to terms with his sexuality. Today, we have an excerpt from a poem by Reverend Otto O'Connor, a white, openly transgender minister of First Parish UU in Malden, Massachusetts. On a holy night in 1969, in an inn, also known as a bar, called the Stonewall Inn, a basement which had no running water nor safe fire exits, queer people of many colors and kinds danced together, for it was the only place where they were allowed to dance, at least permitted to by the mafia who ran the inn. In those days, it was common for the police to frequent this inn, not to join in the dance, the underground celebration, but to send the dancers home and make arrests. When they would arrive, the lights would go on, the people would be lined up, and then all those in drag, all those who were trans, all those without proper identification, they were arrested and taken into custody. But on this holy night, that early morning of June 28th, the people said, "Not tonight." As they called them to line up, the trans women refused to go. And as the police began to beat and arrest them, And as the people spilled out from the bar onto the street, Christopher Street, a crowd grew to watch. And then, as trans women, lesbians, and gay men were getting arrested, a yell came from the crowd, "Gay power!" And as a trans woman was shoved, she shoved back, and the crowd began throwing bottles at the wagon, and suddenly it erupted. For once, the people didn't line up. For once, the people said, "No more, we've had enough." It was almost as if that night, being pulled out of the darkness of the underground at Stonewall Inn one too many times, they said, "I'm ready to be seen." On this holy night, when the power of the oppressed rippled through the streets of New York, when queer people said no more, our world would never be the same. 52 years ago, it was illegal to be gay, to be trans, to dance and to love and to celebrate. And now, only 52 years later, here we are celebrating at a church. Gay and straight together, queer and straight together, trans and cis together, all in this together. And so we celebrate these stories of life and love and defiance and celebration. Let us also remember and pay tribute to our movement ancestors, many of them trans women of color who led the first rebellion that night. You see, Pride is a celebration of that anniversary, the anniversary of that riot at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, a holy night. So, happy Pride. The following is a video made in 2017 by a local Phoenix organization, Trans Queer Pueblo. TQP is a collective of brown and black LGBTQ folks, most of them immigrants, many undocumented. They are proud and unapologetically insistent on their equality and rights. Trans Queer Pueblo has been encouraging our community to look at some of the biggest issues of Phoenix Pride and reminding us to remember that the LGBT community is wide and it includes black and brown people, undocumented people. This community includes people who are oppressed daily by some of the entities that are included in Pride, while they are often excluded. They made this video in 2017, and thankfully, SB 1070 is no longer active. And they worked to remove Bank of America as a lead sponsor of Pride. But the police still have an active role in Pride, and there's little done to promote the safety and concerns of our most vulnerable community members. Trans Queer Pueblo is inviting us to live into the tension of Pride, while also being proud of who we are and where we come from.
¿Acaso nos hemos olvidado de Stonewall? 1969. Una noche, dos guerreras trans llevaron a la comunidad a resistir contra las redadas policiales. Aquel suceso fue el motivo de la primera celebración de Pride. Hoy, en el 2017, estamos celebrando el matrimonio igualitario, la inclusión, la adopción. Pero, ¿tú crees que la igualdad matrimonial nos protege? Nuestra familia cae a diario asesinada en las calles. Estamos presos en los centros de detención. ¿Hasta quién sabe cuándo? Somos LGBTQ, de piel negra y morena, indocumentados. Y mientras nosotros luchamos por nuestras vidas, el desfile de Pride es publicidad para productos y colaboración con los mismos policías que nos deportan. Fíjate, el patrocinador principal de Pride, el Banco de América, financia la encarcelación de nuestro pueblo. Pero el futuro no está escrito. Las cartas cuentan de un mañana, cuando regresemos a nuestras raíces de orgullo. Invitamos a Pride a que tome las siguientes acciones. Nieguen la participación de la policía en el desfile. Corten sus lazos con los patrocinadores carcelarios. Denuncien públicamente la ley SB 1070 y la orden 4.48 de la ciudad y la ley de manifestación. Y usen su influencia para mover al alcalde y terminar las dos leyes. Sin justicia no hay orgullo.
Now you need to know that I love Pride. Like, I love, 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 love Pride. And I love churches that march in Pride. They make me cry, really, every time. When a church marches in a Pride parade, it is a statement that they have consciously wrestled with the demons that religion has brought upon us and came out solidly on the side of inclusion, belonging, love, and rejoicing. I have never until yesterday watched a Pride parade. I've only marched in one. And I have marched in every parade for probably the last 15 years. I was so proud that our much smaller congregation than this could get somewhere between 30 and 80 people to show up to march. There was always a flatbed liner, kind of the trailer, with banners on it, with chairs for some of our oldest folks. We had some of our members in their 80s who would be in every parade. It was also perfect for the kids to ride on that, and they would be handing out the handouts and the candy to anyone else who was marching. There were straight people, there were queer people. All of us marched in the parade. I love that my children marched with their church as soon as they were old enough to march. Being part of the Pride community was natural to them, even before their mother was out and a part of it. I loved marching and handing out cards or fans or offers to marry people or stickers or candy. And I loved seeing people in the crowd be so excited to have a church that was excited to see them. I often saw tears, the idea that a church loved the community so much that they were willing to march for them. Having churches be part of Pride is important. It's really important. As a religious professional, I have seen so many times the harm that a religious organization can inflict on our LGBTQ community. The shame that people wear all of their lives, the excuses to kick a family member out of their home, the justification to treat them as a sinner. I have seen how that has made many, many in the LGBTQ community skeptical of religion, often forever. How it has cut them off from accessing their spiritual side, knowing that they are truly holy, and often cutting them off from the possibility of community and resources and support that come with being a part of a religious community. This past Thursday night, I got to be one of the speakers of a bunch of queer religious leaders in Phoenix. I was the only one who had a positive coming out story regarding their church. Out of 20, the only one. As UUs, we need to tell the world that there are religious communities where we do not struggle with our faith and the misinterpreted words of the Bible. One of the most frequent questions I got when I was the candidate to be your minister that week that feels so long ago was, does this mean we will march in the Pride Parade? Now, I'm pretty sure that I was asked that so much because I'm your first gay minister. But I also know that many of you are very interested in showing our own pride in supporting the community. And this was not the year to start organizing a big parade. And Pride is wonderful and complicated. So I thought we would take this year to kind of look at those complexities and unpeel this onion a little bit and start the conversation so that we can have a plan in place for next year's Pride. When this pandemic is over, and it will be over, right? Someday, please? And I need to make the caveat that Karen and I just went to our first Phoenix Pride yesterday. So I know that there are a lot of you out there who know so much more about Phoenix, its history with Pride, than I do. But I'm still willing to enter into this conversation, and I hope that you will too. So let's delve into some of the complicated layers, shall we? Let's remember from Sarah's wonderful reading the reminder that the first Pride was a riot. It was a protest of how the community was treated. It was led by Marsha P. Johnson, a Black transgender woman, and most of the people involved were Black and brown. And their act of resistance, of saying they were not going to be treated like that anymore, that changed the future for all of us. We must remember that that is the origin of Pride. Pride now is, to say the least, very different from that riot. It is joyful. It is highly organized. It has a lot of money involved. This year's lead sponsor is Bud Light Seltzer. And a lot of the parade participants are now corporations. It is often run by the movers and the shakers in the gay community. Often, though, many of those movers and shakers are cisgender, gay, white men. Basically the same group of people who have had power in most of our modern Western history, except that they're gay. Phoenix Pride is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. In their promotional video, they talk a lot about how they struggled financially and overcame. However, I'm challenged by how much of their video was about the money side. They talked about how they now have $1 million budget. They talked about how they are running Pride more like a corporation. And right below the video, actually on every page, are a list of all the sponsors, right next to the $30 tickets. I have never been to a Pride festival that charges. That's not super welcoming and inclusive. And Phoenix has its challenges with its police, and Phoenix Pride has a history of prominently featuring the police. We know that the Phoenix Police Department is one of the most deadly in the country, and we know that our Black and brown community members are disproportionately affected. And our undocumented siblings are also targeted by police. We can't separate the intersectionality of the LGBTQ community and our Black and brown communities. There are plenty of people who overlap in that, and the two make up for some of the most vulnerable in our communities. And Pride must deal with that as well. And here's another layer. We loved the Pride Festival and the parade. We saw so much diversity, more than we normally see in Phoenix. We were in participation, not in leadership, but the joyous, free people who were holding hands and kissing and feeling comfortable and being themselves dressing in all of the colors with all of the flags, was beautiful to see. So how do we reconcile all of this? I recommend taking a page from Trans Queer Pueblo's book. Be out and be proud, and also be clear about what you're still fighting for and what you want to see changed. And then go and promote that. So how can UUCP do that? Well, we might say that there are too many challenges and we should find another way to support our LGBTQ siblings. Maybe we decide we should march and hand out something that shows our support for continued change. Maybe we find out what Trans Queer Pueblo is asking for now and amplify their needs. Maybe we can pay for our entry to the parade and then also pay for all of the entrance fees for the members of Trans Queer Pueblo that want to go. Maybe we very openly say who we are and what we are standing for and striving to be as a way of resistance. And we also need to figure out how we can show our support for having UUCP part of Pride. If you feel strongly enough, perhaps you're willing to serve on a team to organize it. After all, we can't do this without some folks to help. And, oh, it is fun to decorate a Pride trailer. Pride started as a protest. There is still room for protest and the challenge for full equity, even within our progressive movements. And there are so many reasons to be proud. Proud that we are a Unitarian Universalist certified welcoming congregation. Proud that our denomination and this congregation supported LGBTQ inclusion far before most religions did. And yes, even that we have a gay minister. Let's celebrate that. And let's remember that I could not be a minister either as a woman or as a queer person in many denominations still. Let's celebrate the immense diversity we have in our congregation and in our wider community. Let's celebrate all of our people. May they be transgender, asexual, pansexual, agender, non-binary, bisexual, lesbian, femme, butch, queer, bear, twink, or not fitting into any category, but marvelously, fantastically, courageously queer nonetheless. I invite you to join with me by responding, "May we live in the spirit of pride." That's the words, and I want you to say them from your couch, from your kitchen, wherever you are. Join me in saying, "May we live the spirit of pride," as I share these words of Elizabeth Ketchum. With gratitude for the freedom to be our true, authentic selves, may we live in the spirit of pride. With the courage that comes from challenging fear, may we live in the spirit of pride. With sorrow for those who could not be with us today, and in honor of those who died of AIDS, of suicide, or of murder. Let us live, may we live in the spirit of pride. With grief for those whose pain was unbearable, may we live in the spirit of pride. Looking ahead to the justice still withheld, may we live in the spirit of pride. With the confidence that a sense of community banishes isolation and loneliness, may we live in the spirit of pride. And with the rainbow flag flying high, a sense of beloved community among us, and the joy that comes from making new connections, may we live in the spirit of pride. So might it be. Our closing music, Love Yourself, is a new Pride anthem by actor and singer Billy Porter, the fantastic, fabulous Billy Porter. He's joined in this video by the cast of Pose, a TV show about the drag ball culture of New York City in the 80s and 90s. Enjoy.
You just believe you're the one you need. You don't need nobody
Okay, you need to know there's only 4 people in the sanctuary, 3 up in the soundstage, but we are all having a dance party, like total, all out. And it turns out that an empty sanctuary makes for a really great dance floor. So, before our closing words, we'd like to invite you to coffee hour after the service. We are going to have a kids' coffee hour. We are going to have the brand new class, Love Will Guide Us, and with our children's ministry. We will have the Get to Know UUCP class, and of course, all the fabulous stuff where you're going to decide what should we do about Pride next year. So, May we live with pride for our full, authentic selves. May we as a community always support our LGBTQ community and remember those in the intersection of sexual orientation, gender identity, and race. May we remember that pride started as a protest and that our voices can be used to both celebrate and promote change at the same time. And may we know that each and every one of us is divine, unique, perfect, and so loved. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. Go in peace. Go in love. Go in pride.
I love you too. Don't call me Shirley. I know we started that Des O'Connor. I have my own special creation. So come take a look. Give me the hook of the ovation. Thank you. It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, but it's not a place I have to hide in. Your life is a sham till you can say, hey, what I am. I don't need praise, I don't need pity. I'll beat my own drum. Something is wrong, I think it's pretty. And so what if I love each feather and each spangle? Why not try and see things from a different angle? Your life is a sham till you can say, hey, world, I am what I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. I'll be Jack. Sometimes it aches, sometimes it uses. There's one life, and there's no return and no deposit. One life, so it's time to open up your closet. Your life is a sham till you can say, hey, what